Welcome to the Confusion Matrix. My name's Jo, and this is the part of the internet where I waffle on about sciencey things. When people find out I'm studying corals for my PhD, they do have a tendency to get very excited. And their first question is always, do you get to go to the reef? I'm so jealous. And unfortunately, my answer is always, I actually spend most of my time Now, it's not quite as glamorous as diving with sea turtles on the Great Barrier Reef, but I have learned a heck of a lot of really interesting things about coral biology. I've spent the last 3 years getting my head around the complex and quite frankly beautiful mechanisms by which these organisms work. And so I thought, what better way to make those 3 years of reading worth it than to share it with you? It's going to take me a few videos, but stick with it. Corals are really, really interesting things, but they're in some trouble, and I kind of think it helps to understand why. So, you may have heard of the Great Barrier Reef. There are many reef systems around the world, but I'm Australian. I'm going to stick to the most important one. The Great Barrier Reef is a UNESCO World Heritage protected site. It stretches up and down the coast of northern Queensland. It contains about 2,900 individual reef systems, about 2,000 square kilometres of mangroves, 6,000 square kilometres of seagrass beds, and it's home to about 1,500 species of fish, as well as about 350 species of hard corals. In fact, these reef systems contain so many different types of organisms that they're often referred to as the ocean's rainforests. Which is really weird when you find out that corals actually thrive in really nutrient-poor regions of the ocean, which we call oligotrophic waters. It's kind of like transplanting the Amazon rainforest into the Sahara Desert, and there'll be more on how that works in a later video. And now, it's gradually disappearing. I mean, fast forward to 2050 and the IPCC believes there won't be much coral reef left to look at once climate change gets a foothold. If it hasn't already. Temperature, salinity, ocean acidification, and an increase in solar irradiance are all very well documented threats to this precious ecosystem. And if nothing's done soon to halt this steady decline, not only will it cut a massive hole in the world's biodiversity, countries and economies that rely on the reef for their food, for income, for tourism, and in many places for their social and cultural identities will all be equally under threat. So, I hear you ask, what can we do? Well, for one thing, understanding exactly how these corals operate is the first step forward in fixing the problem we've cleverly created. Once we know how they work, we can then use that information to go and create models and simulations of the system, which might help us in the future prevent widespread carnage. Over the next few videos, I'm hoping to explain a little bit about what we know and where the gaps in our knowledge are, and tell you guys a little bit about the area of research that I've sunk 3 years of my life and counting into. Fun times! Now, it's not quite as glamorous as diving with giant sea turtles on the Great Barrier Reef. Giant sea turtles? Where did the giant sea turtles come from?